Russia, a new wave is rising from the depths. Silent, unstoppable, and nuclear. Russia unveiled its latest doomsday weapon, the underwater drone Poseidon. Russia has successfully tested a nuclear-capable, nuclear-powered underwater drone. This is Moscow's second test of a new nuclear weapons system in just a few days. President Putin confirmed the test, calling it a new generation strategic system with no possible interception.
Promising complex, the Poseidon unmanned underwater vehicle, also with a nuclear power engine.
This is not just another torpedo. Poseidon is a monster of the deep, over 20 meters long, first tested in 2018. It is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead of up to 2 megatons. It is designed to travel thousands of miles underwater, undetected, and strike with apocalyptic force. Powered by a miniature nuclear reactor, it can remain submerged for months, cruising beneath sonar, nets, and ocean defenses like a ghost. Its mission is to deliver a nuclear payload powerful enough to trigger radioactive tsunamis and wipe out entire coastal cities. Analysts are saying Poseidon is part of Russia's second strike deterrent, a weapon that can survive any nuclear exchange and still hit back, launched from submarines or hidden underwater silos. It transforms the ocean itself into a weapon platform. Putin on Sunday oversaw a test of another advanced nuclear-capable weapon, the Radioactive cruise missile, which he said had an unlimited range. Trump called that exercise not appropriate.
Текущую обстановку, сложившуюся. Разрешите начать движение? Разрешаю.
Russia's second major nuclear-capable system trial within days, doubling down on a new generation of super weapons. The undersea battlegrounders quietly become a front line in an unseen nuclear race that could redefine warfare and global security. Peter Kuznick is a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Is now joining us live on this broadcast. Professor, it's good to see you. The detail is in the message that Putin is trying to put out to the world. He's tested 2 nuclear-powered drones. We're talking about the Radioactive and now this submarine. What do you think Putin is trying to do, and why is he doing these tests now?
You have to add to that the deployment of the Radioactive missile back in November, and the announcement that the Sarmats are about to be deployed also. Putin is clearly sending a message. After the Budapest meeting between Putin and Trump collapsed, and then the indication that the United States has given authorization to Ukraine to use some of the American weapons to strike deep inside of Russia, including Moscow, Putin is making a very, very strong statement. Peskov had said that if they strike deep inside of Russia, if Ukraine strikes deep inside of Russia, the effect could be devastating, that Russia is going to respond very, very decisively. So Putin is making clear that if Trump does not accept Putin's offer to extend the New START treaty for another year when it expires this coming February, then Russia is going to continue deploying these terrifying nightmare science fiction-like nuclear weapons and missiles that would be simply inconceivable, the destruction that they could wreak.
Professor, what's your view on the Burevestnik and now the Poseidon? Because apparently they can, withstand the speed, they can stay on the air, they can stay under sea for days. Very pity.
In Putin's State of the Nation message, May 1st, 2018, he announced that Russia had 5 new nuclear weapons, all of which could circumvent U.S. missile defense. That seems to be the case. When the Oreshnik was tested, former U.S. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said that the U.S. would not have a response for at least 15 years. So Putin is in some ways getting ahead of the United States. Trump talks about this Golden Dome missile defense system. Well, this is going to make a mockery of Trump's plans. So what the world needs to do clearly is step back off this precipice, because we're getting closer and closer to the nightmare scenario that we've all dreaded for most of our lifetimes.
All right, Professor Kuznick, it's good to see you. We'll have to end it there. Thank you.
Shalom. I want to start off first and foremost by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honor unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000 men. Back with another lesson. All right. Russia unveils a new unstoppable nuclear drone. All right. A new unstoppable nuclear drone that, that can't be intercepted. All right. And, this is all the work of the Lord. All right. We know the precepts. And I don't want to go through a whole lot of precepts in this video. All right. It's pretty straightforward. We all know about the nuclear destruction that's going to happen to America, and certain parts around the world, namely, our homeland of Israel and whatnot, within the last few days, Russia and Putin have unveiled two powerful nuclear weapons, right? One, the Burevestnik, which is a cruise missile that has unlimited range. It could circle the whole globe. It can't be intercepted. I believe it has supersonic speed, all right, hypersonic speed, all right. And now, here in this video here, we saw the unveiling of the Poseidon submarine, which is an unstoppable nuclear drone capable of carrying 2 warheads, basically staying underwater for months because of a mini nuclear reactor. All right, I think each warhead has 2 megatons. It can basically cause massive swells that can cause tsunamis in certain towns, radioactive tsunamis in certain cities, like cities that border on the water, and whatnot, that border the shore. All right, and it's just huge, and as the guy said, the same quote, what's his name, the same professor, it really serious. He said basically, if Trump doesn't want to accept Putin's offer to extend the New START treaty, for another year, all right, because it expires in next February 26th, Russia going to continue to deploy all these monsters, because he called these missiles, which is about 5, I believe it's 5 weapons, nuclear weapons. But back in 2018, Putin said that he had 5 nuclear weapons, all of which America couldn't circumvent within nuclear defenses. All right, and he wasn't bluffing, and he realized now. The professor said that in some ways he's ahead. No, Putin is ahead. Why? Because the Heavenly Father made it so. Right, the Heavenly Father is the one who controls a man's mind. He puts thoughts in your head. He gives you dreams, visions, according to the book of Job, the 33rd chapter and the 14th verse 1 down. All right. In fact, let me get there. Let me get that. All right. And you'll see why I'm bringing it. This is Job. In fact, let's bring that first. Let's bring this precept first. This is Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 16. It says what? Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Who's the smith? That scientist. Right? And bloweth the coals in the fire to make what? A nuclear weapon. And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. Right? And I've made a waster to destroy, right, the wasters going to Esau Edom. All right, he's the one who was created to destroy. He's the sword of the Lord on the left hand side. Right? We can get that. We go to Psalm 17 and 13. It says what? Arise, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from what? From the wicked, which is thy sword. The wicked is the sword of the Lord on the left hand side. And who was created, basically to correct Jake too, to balance Jake. All right. So Isaiah 54 and 16. So the Lord created that smith. And how did Smith get these understanding? Well, at the end of the day, what the Lord said. Then the Lord said, in fact, let's get this here. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Proverbs 21 and 1. The same way the Lord is turning back Putin to the USSR, Soviet state of mind, the conquering state of mind, according to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Right? He is giving these scientists the knowledge and the understanding to go ahead of Babylon the Great, to advance in technology way ahead, over 15 years. Right? It says, Proverbs 21 and 1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Right? So the Lord is the one who does it. Right? Where we can get at the book of Job. Job 33 and verse 14, it says, yea, the heavenly Father speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. He doesn't understand that is the Lord speaking to him. Right? You think that is just a eureka moment. Ooh, I know how to create this weapon. No, it's the Lord, feeding you all, you scientists. All right, Job 33 and 15. In a dream, in a vision of night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberance upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. So this is what the Lord does. So the Lord is the one who created those missiles, who allowed Russia and China to exceed the technological capability of Babylon the Great, America. And this is why. This is for the destruction of Babylon the Great to take place. So more than likely next February, you're going to see that, they're not going to, more than likely Trump is not going to sign that agreement. All right? And these things really terrifying when you see the destructive power of these things, right? As the professor said, he said Russia going to continue to deploy these terrifying, nightmarish, science fiction like nuclear weapons and missiles, that basically, it's simply inconceivable, the kind of destruction that these things could wreak. All right? Hella destruction. All right? Hell of destruction. Okay? He spoke about even the Arestnik missile that they released, they deployed back in November, and the RS-28 Salmat, the Satan II, that's also been deployed. All right, it's also been deployed. So it's a whole mess, and the Lord is the one who's doing it. The Lord mustered the host of the battle. All right, the Lord is the one who's doing it. In fact, let's get that. All right, he mustered it. The host. Hopefully we'll put them up here. Right? This is here. Isaiah 13 and 4. It says what? Let's read from the top. It says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. That's Isaiah 13 and 1. Lift ye up a banner upon the mountains, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. Right? So we the men of the Lord, going up on to the gates of the nobles. All right? It says, I have commanded my sanctified ones, right, which is the prophets. I have also called my mighty ones, the angels, for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. And the angels are the one who stopping these missiles from blowing on the earth, according to Revelation, the 7th chapter. All right? Until the appointed time. Right? Isaiah 13 and 4, it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. Right? Because the Lord said what? When they go to Joel, the prophet Joel, chapter 3. Well, the Lord, in fact, let's go for chapter 2. Joel 2 and 9. So hold on. Let me just check something here. Let's go here. Joel 3 and 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathens, right? Gentile heathens. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. So this is what Putin is doing. All right? And your pruning hooks into spears, the modern day spear and sword and the missiles and these nuclear weapons. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, those missiles and the angels. Because that's how the destruction is going to take place. The nuclear missiles going to do their work, and the angels going to be there in the chariots, shooting laser beams on Babylon the Great. All right? So when you go back here to Isaiah 13, verse 4, it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like of a great people, a tumultuous noise of kingdoms of nations gathered together. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. The Lord is calling it together. That's why the Budapest meeting collapsed with Trump and Putin. All right? Okay? That's why it collapsed. After, and then you had America granting Ukraine the authorization to strike deep inside Russia with their weapons. So Putin is saying, hey, I ain't playing around. He ain't playing around. And if they send any missile to Russia, basically said he's going to respond with what? Decisively. Okay? So mutually assured destruction. There's a system that if missiles are launched at Russia, Russia sends back missiles at them automatically. All right? But all that is within the control of the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But the point is, these missiles are coming. All right? These things are coming. And, there's nothing America could do, to defend it. This is Jeremiah 51, verse 1. It says, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, which is America, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind. Woo! That's the nuclear missiles. And will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. So this ain't no joke that's coming here. All right? America is going to be completely destroyed by these same missiles. Jeremiah 51 and verse 56. It says, because the spoiler is come upon her. In fact, let's read from verse 55. Because the Lord had spoiled Babylon and destroyed her out of her the great voice, when her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Right? The waves of her enemies pound against her. Literally, it might very well be waves, right, with this new Poseidon missile. Right? Because it can actually stir up the waves and cause a nuclear tsunami. Verse 56 says, because the spoiler has come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken, every one of their bows is broken. For Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, power of recompenses, shall requite. So her mighty men and every one of our bows, the bows basically silo, is going to be broken. So America is not going to be able to fire back missiles. All right? And, her bars are broken. Let's see if we can find that. Her bars are broken. That's the defenses. They're going to be broken. So they're not going to have, as Putin said, the Americans' defense is not going to be able to hold up to it. Trump could say all he wants about this gold and doing bullshit. It's not going to stop the missiles. All right? It says Jeremiah 51 and verse 30. It says the mighty men of, in fact, verse 31, it says the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might had failed. They became as women. They have burned their dwelling places. Her bars are broken. All the defenses are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. All right? That's how it's going to be. And that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burnt with fire, and the men of war are frighted. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, the daughter of Babylon, which is America, is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. And it's here. It's here. It's near at hand. All right? It's near at hand. These weapons are meant to be used, and they will be used on Babylon the Great and certain targets around the world by the Heavenly Father. Right? It's all orchestrated by the Heavenly Father. He's in total control. Right? And I know As much as these devils think they're in control, no, the Lord Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai is in total control. And they know it. They know it. They had episodes, both America and Russia, where the angels would come in on your so-called UFOs and stop the missiles from firing. You know, so they know the Lord is in control. Actually, in Russia, you know, the angels came in with the so-called UFOs and turned on the nuclear control panel, and I believe aimed it at America, right? Which is an omen of things to come. Right? They could do nothing to stop that. Right? So we know what's coming. With that, I pray this lesson was edifying. Till the next time, Shalom wa Harag Babal.